This is what it all amounted to. A lifetime of work, reduced to paper on a cold floor.
Maya always thought she was untouchable, living life like every day was a fashion show until one desperate choice turned her world upside down. She had it all. The looks, the lifestyle, the perfect boyfriend. But when tragedy struck, her true colors showed, and what came next? Well, let's just say karma doesn't miss an appointment. Sit tight, friends, because this story is about to unfold, and trust me, you won't see the twist coming. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Maya was the kind of woman who made heads turn. At 26, she was stunning, tall, graceful, and effortlessly stylish. She worked as a marketing coordinator at a tech startup in Austin, Texas, but anyone who didn't know her would easily think she owned a luxury fashion empire. Maya carried herself like the soft life was her birthright, and nothing could convince her otherwise. But behind her elegant appearance was a dangerous weakness: shopping. Maya had a terrible spending habit. Wigs, shoes, handbags, clothes. As long as it sparkled or looked expensive, she wanted it. She didn't mind surviving on instant ramen for days as long as a new designer handbag sat pretty in her closet. By the first week of every month, her salary was gone. Completely gone. And like clockwork, she would end up at her best friend Rachel's apartment, begging for a loan. "Maya, you just received your paycheck last week, and you've spent everything already." "Madam Luxury," Rachel would tease whenever Maya appeared at her door. Maya would simply laugh. "You know I have to keep up the lifestyle now." "Maya, reduce this spending habit for your own sake. You don't know what the future holds," Rachel would warn. But Maya only scoffed. "Forget about the future. I'll get a very rich boyfriend soon who will fund my lifestyle." One Monday morning, Maya strutted into the office wearing a beautiful outfit that looked brand new. Her heels clicked confidently against the polished floor as she walked in like a runway model. "Our luxury queen has arrived," one of her colleagues teased. Maya just smiled proudly and waved. Even though they all earned similar salaries, she carried herself like she was on a higher level. As soon as she settled at her desk, she brought out her phone and began taking selfies for Instagram. Taking pictures was part of her daily routine. She never missed a day. Within minutes, she posted the photo with the caption, "Office baddie." Around noon, her phone rang. It was Rachel. "Babe, let's go out for dinner tonight," Rachel said. Maya's eyes lit up instantly. Dinner at a fancy restaurant meant one thing: endless pictures and videos for her Instagram. "Yes, I'm in," she said with excitement. After work, Maya rushed home and spent hours trying on different outfits. Her room looked like a clothing store explosion by the time she was done. Finally, she chose a stunning emerald dress decorated with glittering silver stones. She twirled in front of her mirror, admiring herself. "Green is definitely my color," she said, smiling proudly. She was ready for the night, ready for attention, and ready to show the world that Madam Luxury never missed a moment to shine. Rachel picked Maya up that evening, and as soon as Maya stepped into the car, Rachel gasped. "Girl, you look like someone going to accept a marriage proposal. You look absolutely gorgeous." Maya smiled proudly. "Thanks, honey. You look good too." They arrived at the upscale restaurant and settled into their seats. No sooner had they ordered than Maya leaned closer. "Please take some pictures of me," she whispered. Rachel didn't argue. If there was anything she knew about Maya, it was that her friend could not go a single day without taking pictures. She took several shots while Maya posed like a model on a runway. As they ate and laughed softly, Rachel suddenly paused. Her eyes widened as she stared toward the entrance. "Maya, look at this handsome guy. Some people just know how to be fine," she whispered. Maya looked up and her breath caught. Tall, handsome, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit. "We're staring too much," Maya whispered. "Let's pretend we didn't notice him." They both laughed quietly and continued their dinner. Just as they were getting ready to leave, The handsome stranger walked toward them. "Hello, ladies. How are you both doing?" he said in a deep, calm voice. Rachel smiled politely, but she noticed something instantly. His eyes were fixed only on Maya. Her smile faded a little. "I don't usually do this," he said, still looking at Maya. "But I would have regretted it if I left here without saying hello." Maya's face lit up as she stretched out her hand. "I'm Maya." "I'm David," he replied with a polite smile. He hesitated for only a moment before asking, "Can I take you out on a date sometime?" "That sounds nice," Maya replied, smiling softly. They exchanged numbers, and soon after, Rachel drove Maya home. "Good night, boo," Rachel said as she waved. Maya waved back happily. But deep down, Rachel wasn't thrilled that David chose Maya over her. Still, she reminded herself that Maya was her friend, so she had to be happy for her. Later that night, as Maya lay on her bed scrolling through her phone, a message popped up. "Hello, beautiful." It was David. Maya blushed instantly, tossing around her bed like a teenager. They texted back and forth until she fell asleep with her phone still in her hand. The next day after work, Maya dressed up for her date with David. She wore a beautiful white dress that hugged her figure perfectly. When David arrived to pick her up in a sleek black Audi, Maya's heart fluttered. "This is it," she thought. "My dream of dating a rich man is finally coming together." David took her to another fancy restaurant. They talked, laughed, and enjoyed their meal. And of course, Maya took endless pictures. Her phone was practically part of the experience. As the night went on, one thing became clear. Maya felt like she had stepped into the luxurious life she always dreamed of. After dinner that night, David drove Maya home. From then on, they grew closer, late-night calls, non-stop texting, and frequent dates. It didn't take long before David asked her to be his girlfriend. Maya said yes immediately. She loved the attention, the gifts, and of course, the fact that he was wealthy. But as the relationship settled, David began to notice something troubling. Maya's obsession with shopping. It wasn't about the money. He could afford anything. The problem was the unnecessary things she bought. "Babe, I thought you already have a green handbag like this," he said one day as they stood in an expensive boutique. "No, babe. The one I have is mint green. This one is forest green. I really need it," she replied, pouting her lips. David smiled weakly. Maya took that as a yes and continued shopping. "Green is green," David muttered under his breath, but he didn't push it. He loved her deeply and wanted her to be happy, even if her happiness came in shopping bags. Their relationship blossomed despite their differences. They were total opposites. Maya loud, flashy, and dramatic. David quiet, steady, and always at his distribution warehouse managing his import business. Still, he never complained. He spoiled her with wigs, shoes, jewelry, and accessories almost every week. One afternoon, while Maya was in David's apartment looking for a misplaced bracelet, something caught her eye. A small velvet box tucked in a drawer. Curious, she picked it up. Her breath caught the moment she opened it. An engagement ring. She covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. "So David wants to propose to me," she whispered joyfully. Her mind immediately wandered to possibilities. A big fancy venue, a beach with rose petals everywhere, balloons, cameras, a trending Instagram moment. But then she frowned. David likes simple things. He might just do a small engagement. No way. I must know the plan. My engagement must be the best Austin has ever seen. She rushed straight to the living room where David was reading a business magazine. "Babe, I found the engagement ring," she said excitedly. David's eyes widened. "Where did you find it? What were you looking for there?" "That doesn't matter," Maya said, still smiling. "But don't worry, I'll pretend I didn't see anything." "So what's the plan? Where are you proposing?" "Maya, I was planning to propose over dinner. Something simple and intimate. You know I get nervous with crowds, babe." No, I don't want anything simple. Don't worry, I'll plan the engagement myself. The next day, Maya visited Rachel. She couldn't hide her excitement as she announced, "David wants to propose." Rachel screamed happily. "But wait, isn't a proposal supposed to be a surprise?" "Yes, but I found out," Maya replied casually. "It's fine. Do you know any big luxurious venue we can use for the engagement party?" Rachel's eyes widened. "Are you planning your own engagement?" "Yes. I want it to be perfect and up to my standard," Maya said proudly. Rachel stared at her friend in disbelief as Maya continued talking non-stop about decorations, flowers, gold chairs, expensive decor, and how she wanted the engagement to be the biggest event Austin would ever witness. Maya had already taken over everything: plans, venue, and even how her own proposal should look. After weeks of loud preparations and endless arguments, Maya's engagement day finally arrived. The venue looked like a fairy tale: beautiful decorations, scented candles, soft lights, and a pianist and violinist playing romantic music. Maya walked in, pretending to be shocked even though she had planned every detail herself. Cameras flashed everywhere as if it was already her wedding. David knelt down and proposed. And of course, Maya said yes. She immediately posted the photos and videos on Instagram, smiling proudly at the attention. She didn't notice David's discomfort as bright camera lights flashed directly into his face. Wedding preparations began the following week. As expected, Maya wanted nothing but the best: luxury, glamour, and extravagance. She didn't bother to ask David for his opinion. She hired 2 well-known wedding planners and demanded the most expensive designs. David tried to talk to her about the costs. "Babe, this is too much. Let's cut down on expenses." Maya shook her head. "Babe, I'm a public figure. People are expecting a grand wedding. I can't disappoint them." She had no idea her loyalty was about to be tested. One Friday evening, Maya and David were having dinner when David's phone rang. The moment he answered, his face went pale. "What? What do you mean fire?" he shouted. "Babe, what's going on?" Maya asked anxiously, but David didn't reply. He rushed out of the house and drove off before Maya could follow. When he arrived at the scene, thick smoke filled the air. 2 of his warehouses were burning uncontrollably. "I'm finished. I'm finished," David cried as he fell to his knees. By the time he got home, he was broken, silent, trembling, and devastated. He sat on the couch, tears running down his face. "Babe, talk to me. What happened?" Maya begged. "My warehouses, Maya. They're gone. They burnt completely," he whispered. Maya screamed and collapsed on the floor. "Oh God, I'm finished. My enemies have succeeded. What will happen to my wedding? I'm doomed." David stared at her quietly. In his darkest moment, her first thought was not him, but her wedding. That night, David didn't sleep. Tears flowed until morning. Days passed quietly. David stayed home, barely speaking or moving. The weight of his loss crushed him daily. One morning, he finally gathered strength and called Maya. "Babe, you've seen everything that has happened. I'm at my lowest now. I hardly have money to start again. For now, we need to postpone the wedding until I'm back on my feet." Maya fell to the floor in shock. "What will my followers say? Oh God, this can't be happening." David stared at her, confused and hurt. His business had collapsed, and all Maya cared about was Instagram. "Babe, don't cry," he said softly. "By God's grace, I will rise again." But Maya said nothing. Her silence was louder than words. Months passed. David went from office to office looking for a loan. He was rejected everywhere. He didn't have collateral big enough for the amount he needed. Defeated and exhausted, David spent most days at home trying to figure out where his life went wrong. And slowly, Maya began to pull away. One evening, Maya returned from work and went to the kitchen to make dinner. David walked up to her and asked quietly, "Babe, what are we having for dinner?" "Instant noodles," she replied without looking up. David frowned. Noodles again? We've had noodles for 4 days straight. You were home all day. Why didn't you make something else? Maya snapped. Maya, please. I'm tired, she yelled and walked out of the kitchen. David stood there, wondering if he had done something wrong. But that was just the beginning. Slowly, Maya grew irritated with everything he did. She sighed at him, snapped easily, and avoided him as much as she could. One evening, David approached her gently as she sat scrolling on her phone. Babe, please, can you lend me $3,000 to sort out some bills? I'll pay you back soon. Maya looked up sharply. I don't have that kind of money. But you received your salary yesterday. And so what? She snapped. I used the money to pay for the handbag and shoes I ordered from my stylist. David's face hardened. Maya, you have so many shoes and bags already. Why waste money like this? Why do you lack self-control? Those words set her off. Maya jumped to her feet. It's my money. I can do whatever I want with it. Go and make your own money and stop using me to pour out your frustration. I'm not the one who burnt your warehouses. She stormed away. David froze. Those words cut deeper than the fire that destroyed his business. He sank onto the couch, buried his face in his palms, and wondered what had happened to the woman he loved. Maya's behavior worsened. She started coming home very late, carrying expensive designer bags. She wore new perfumes, new jewelry, and always seemed distracted. One night, David finally confronted her. Babe, why are you coming home this late? And who is buying you all these expensive things? Maya snapped instantly. David, you're not my father. You don't have the right to question me. I'm an adult. As long as you're under my roof, I deserve to know. Then I'll just go back to my apartment. She cut him off and began to walk away. David grabbed her hand gently. Babe, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just scared of losing you. I love you, he pleaded. But Maya pushed him away and walked out. The next morning, David woke up to an empty house. Maya was gone. Her things were gone too. His hands trembled as he dialed her number. She didn't answer. He called over and over. Still nothing. I'm so stupid, he cried. Why did I yell at her? I pushed her away. Desperate, he called Rachel. Please help me talk to Maya. I know I messed up. Please just beg her to take my calls. All right, I will call her now, Rachel responded. Later that evening, David drove to Maya's apartment. As he arrived, he noticed a sleek black SUV parked outside. He tried not to think too much about it. He knocked. No answer. He pushed the door gently. It opened. The apartment was quiet. Maya, he called softly. No response. As he moved closer to her bedroom, he heard faint voices. He opened the bedroom door slowly, and the sight before him shook him to his core. Maya was in the arms of another man. Maya! David shouted, his voice breaking. How could you? After everything I did for you. Who is this man? He stepped forward in anger, but Maya quickly blocked him. What did you do for me that no one else has done? She barked. David, it's over. I can't be stuck with a loser. She pulled off the engagement ring and threw it at him. Leave. Now. David's knees buckled. At that moment, Rachel walked into the apartment. Maya, I've been trying to. She froze at the scene before her. Maya, who is this guy? Rachel asked, shocked. David picked up the ring, looked at Maya one last time, and walked out quietly, shattered. Rachel turned to Maya with a stern face. We need to talk. As soon as possible. The next day, Maya and Rachel sat quietly in a small coffee shop. Maya, why would you throw away what you had with David for that guy? Rachel asked gently. Maya rolled her eyes. Rachel, if you called me here to preach, forget it. I'm done with David, and that's final. And his name is Marcus, Not that guy. Rachel stared at her, confused. Maya, what has gotten into you? Maya smirked. Why are you acting hurt? You've always had an eye on David. You should be happy I left him so you can have him. Rachel's mouth fell open. Maya, what? But Maya stood up and walked out without another word. For 4 days, David didn't leave his house. He didn't eat. He didn't sleep. He just sat on his couch, replaying Maya's betrayal. How could she humiliate me like that after all I did for her? He cried. Was she always this materialistic? Was I just blinded by love? But one thing he decided, he wouldn't give up on himself. The next morning, he went to a wealthy friend to request a loan. After a long discussion, the man simply said, "I'll get back to you." David knew what that meant. Another rejection. As he walked home defeated, a car honked repeatedly. He didn't even look up until someone shouted, "David!" He turned. It was Rachel. "Get in," she called. When he sat down, she said softly, "You look like a lost puppy." David only sighed. "Come on," she said gently. "Let's go get lunch." He didn't argue. He hadn't eaten properly in days. At the restaurant, Rachel watched as he devoured his food. Her heart sank. "Where were you coming from?" she asked. David wiped his mouth. Another loan rejection. "I need about 50,000 to start again. But nobody, not even my so-called friends, wants to help." Rachel inhaled slowly. "I could help. I can give 30,000. Start small, build up again." David shook his head immediately. "No, Rachel, that's too much. I can't take that from you. You can just take it as a loan," she insisted. "Pay me back when your business is stable." David swallowed hard. "Thank you so much, Rachel. You don't know how much this means to me. Thank you for believing in me." Meanwhile, Maya was completely lost in the luxury Marcus provided. She even quit her job because he always wanted her clothes. But she didn't know she was walking into something dark that would destroy her life. She noticed something strange about Marcus. Every time he wanted to get intimate with her, he applied something on himself. "Babe, what's that?" she once asked. "Just lubricant," he replied quickly. But the strong, strange smell didn't sit right with her. Still, she ignored it. Luxury had blinded her. She flaunted herself online with captions like, "Too bougie to settle for less." But soon her body began to change. She began losing weight rapidly. Even though she ate constantly, her eyes looked dull. Her energy faded. Marcus kept telling her she was beautiful, so she pushed her fears aside. Until one morning, everything changed. Maya woke up feeling sick. She ran to the bathroom sink, and what came out of her mouth made her scream. She was vomiting money mixed with red stains. Cash poured out uncontrollably as she cried in horror. Marcus heard her scream and rushed in. The moment he saw the money, he smiled wickedly. "Finally," he whispered. He grabbed Maya roughly and dragged her into a small, dark room that smelled like death. "It's time for you to pay for everything I gave you," he said with a smirk. Maya's heart shattered. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she realized the painful truth. She had traded real love and genuine friendship for a trap she might never escape. Maya cried until she had no tears left. When she looked around the room, she saw women's clothes packed in one corner. That was when she realized she wasn't the first, and she probably wouldn't be the last. "God, what have I gotten myself into? This is the end of me," she whispered as fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. Days passed, and Maya continued to lose weight. Every morning, Marcus walked into the room with a smile, not to help her, but to collect the money she had vomited. Maya grew so weak she could barely speak. She lay silently on the cold floor, praying for God to intervene. Meanwhile, life was beginning to turn around for David. He used the money Rachel gave him to rent a small shop and order new inventory. Not as much as he used to have, but enough to start again. Rachel checked on him often, called him, encouraged him, and slowly David began to smile again. But Maya was fading away. Her skin had turned gray. Her bones were showing. Her voice was almost gone. She prayed for death, but even death didn't come. If only I had stayed with David when he needed me. If only I listened to Rachel, I wouldn't have ended up like this, she whispered. One morning, Marcus walked in, smiling as usual. He bent down with a container and started collecting the money from the floor. "You've brought me more money than anyone else," he said, smirking. Maya just stared at him with dull, lifeless eyes. She had no strength left to scream. One afternoon, as Maya lay stiff on the floor, she heard a woman's voice in the apartment. Her heart began to race. Marcus was never home at that time, which meant the lady was alone. Using the last strength in her body, Maya crawled to the door and tapped weakly. No response. She hit the door again. Harder. At first, nothing. Then footsteps. "Is someone in there?" the woman asked, her voice shaking. "Yes. Please help me," Maya whispered. The woman tried the door, but it was locked. She looked around and noticed a key on the bedside table. She picked it up, opened the door, and almost collapsed from the smell that rushed out. Maya was lying on the floor, barely alive. "Please help me. Get me out before he comes back," Maya begged. The woman panicked. She wanted to run away. Everything inside her said, "Leave. This is dangerous." But she couldn't leave Maya there to die. She lifted Maya, who felt as light as a child, and carried her out of the apartment, her heart pounding in fear. "So this is what that man would have done to me too," she whispered as tears rolled down her face. She stopped a taxi and rushed Maya to the hospital. As soon as Maya was admitted, the woman ran away quietly. She didn't want to get involved or answer questions. But deep down, she knew she had saved a life that day. Maya spent weeks at the hospital, but instead of getting better, she kept fading away. Her sickness wasn't medical. It was spiritual. The doctors did everything they could, yet nothing worked. One evening, the doctor gently told her to consider seeing a spiritual healer. But Maya was exhausted. Deep inside, she knew only God could heal her. So she decided to go home and make peace with everyone she had hurt. With trembling hands and tears rolling down her cheeks, she called Rachel. It had been months since they last spoke. Rachel, now dating David, was shocked to see Maya's name on her phone. Maya weakly told her where she was. Without wasting a second, Rachel and David rushed to the hospital. When they saw Maya, they froze. Rachel covered her mouth in horror. "Maya, what happened to you?" she cried. David stood like a statue, his heart breaking at the sight before him. Maya looked like a shadow of her former self, skinny, pale, weak, and tired of fighting. Through tears, Maya told them everything. The luxury, the lies, Marcus, the sickness. All of it. "Where is Marcus now?" Rachel asked, crying so hard her voice shook. "The police went to his house, but he was gone," Maya whispered. Together, they took Maya home, just as she requested. In her living room, she looked up at the two people she had once hurt deeply. "I'm so sorry," Maya cried. "I was blinded by material things. I said awful things to both of you. Please forgive me." Rachel and David looked at her, weak, broken, humbled. They couldn't hold on to anger anymore. Life had already humbled her more than any words could. Forgiveness came with tears and quiet nods. From that day, Rachel took Maya to church every Sunday. She invited her to prayer meetings and Bible study groups. Maya surrendered her life to Christ, seeking forgiveness and peace. Every day she prayed, "Lord, forgive me. Even if you don't heal me, please accept my soul when I pass on." But God is a God of mercy. Slowly, Maya began to regain strength. First, she sat up without help. Then she started walking again. Her skin brightened. Her eyes regained life. Little by little, she came back. Rachel brought food, groceries, and always stayed to keep her company. Months passed, and one morning, Maya looked in the mirror and saw the impossible. She was whole again. Tears of joy flowed freely down her cheeks. Maya fully recovered and even joined Rachel in planning her wedding to David. It was emotional, healing, and beautiful. David had rebuilt his business with Rachel's support and his own determination. The warehouse fire that once destroyed him had become a testimony of resilience. Rachel had stood by him through everything. His lowest moments, his rebuilding phase, his sleepless nights. What started as friendship had bloomed into genuine love. On the wedding day, Maya stood among the guests as Rachel walked down the aisle, glowing like a queen. David's eyes never left her. Maya smiled through her tears. They were always meant for each other, she whispered to herself. Maybe God used me to help them see it. Maybe that was my purpose all along. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she clapped for the couple. Tears not of sadness, but of gratitude. She had fallen. She had risen. And she had finally found peace. After the wedding, Maya started speaking at women's conferences and youth groups, sharing her story. She became an advocate for financial literacy and warned young women about the dangers of materialism and toxic relationships. She reconnected with her family, whom she had pushed away during her luxury obsession. She started volunteering at shelters, helping women who had been trafficked or were victims of spiritual abuse. Maya learned to find joy in simple things: a sunrise, a good book, genuine friendships. She discovered that true beauty came from within, not from designer labels. She never forgot the darkroom where she nearly died, but instead of letting it haunt her, she used it as fuel to help others avoid the same fate. 3 years later, Maya sat in a small cafe, sipping coffee and working on her laptop. She was writing a book about her experiences, hoping it would reach young women drowning in the pressure of social media perfection. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Rachel, now pregnant with her first child, sending a sonogram photo. Maya smiled, her heart full of genuine happiness for her friend. She thought about how far she'd come, from the woman who measured her worth in designer bags to someone who now measured it in the lives she touched. She thought about David, who had forgiven her completely and even helped fund her non-profit organization that supported women escaping abusive relationships. She thought about the woman who saved her life. They had eventually connected, and Maya made sure to thank her properly. That woman's courage had given Maya a second chance. Maya's life teaches us that the pursuit of material things can blind the heart, leading us to lose sight of what truly matters: love, humility, gratitude, and integrity. No amount of luxury is worth sacrificing your dignity, your relationships, or your soul. When our priorities become shallow, we risk falling into traps that disguise themselves as blessings. This story reminds us of a bitter truth: life will humble anyone who exalts themselves, and life will lift anyone who stays humble. Beauty fades. Wealth disappears. Pride destroys. But character, kindness, and faith will always endure. In the end, Maya found redemption. David found healing. Rachel found love. And they all discovered that true peace only comes when we align our hearts with God, value people above things, and choose forgiveness over anger. Maya closed her laptop and looked out the cafe window. The sun was setting, painting the Austin sky in shades of orange and pink. She had once chased artificial beauty, but now she appreciated real beauty. She had once valued things, but now she valued people. She had once lived for Instagram, but now she lived for purpose. And most importantly, she had learned that the greatest luxury in life isn't what you wear or what you own. It's peace of mind, genuine relationships, and a clear conscience. Maya smiled to herself. She still took pictures occasionally, but now they captured real moments, not manufactured perfection. She still enjoyed nice things, but they no longer defined her. She had learned the hard way that when dreams turn to nightmares, only faith, humility, and genuine love can bring you back to life. And for that lesson, despite all the pain, she was grateful. The end. Thank you so much for watching this powerful story. If it touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more life-changing stories like this one. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from, what lesson impacted you most. If you know someone who needs to hear this story, share this video with your friends and family. You never know whose life might be changed by Maya's story. Remember, true wealth isn't measured in material things, but in character, relationships, and peace of mind. See you in the next story. Stay blessed.